Everyone gathered in the living room, and Xin Xin initiated the call. On the other end, a woman confirmed that she was speaking with Zhang Yi, the leader of the surrounding area of Zhou village and the fortified residents. The woman introduced herself as Xiao Honglian, the leader of the Yanqing district shelter. Without hesitation, Honglian asked about the team she had sent to the factory some time ago, which was annihilated by Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's response remained calm, as if the action was fully justified. Upon realizing the attack on her subordinates, Honglian's anger erupted. She emphasized that in Shanghai, no one dared challenge her power, and the Yanqing shelter's fate was sealed. Zhang Yi remained calm, mentioning that the last person to try and threaten him, Cheninyan, the former leader of the Baisian base, had been destroyed by him. Honglian disputed this claim, considering that the Baisian base was destroyed by a missile attack, not by Zhang Yi. She regarded this claim as mere arrogance. Zhang Yi then turned the question around, inquiring about the real reason behind the missile attack on the Baisian base. The conversation turned into a display of strength, with Zhang Yi warning that if Honglian realized her position and retreated from his territory, the Yanqing shelter might still survive. However, if not, her group would suffer the same fate as the others. Zhang Yi also demanded that the captives be handed over immediately, without resistance, emphasizing that this humiliation would not be forgotten. Zhang Yi's confidence enraged Honglian further. She threatened to send the captives' body parts as a warning. However, this threat did not shake Zhang Yi. Honglian realized her slight advantage in the situation and asked if the captives were important enough to Zhang Yi or if he could eliminate them on the spot. Zhang Yi, due to Lian's presence beside him, finally showed concern and was willing to negotiate. Honglian felt more confident after hearing Zhang Yi's attitude and decided to consider her next move. Xiao Honglian accused Zhang Yi of killing her cousin and his troops. Now she had important people in her hands and planned to exchange them for Zhang Yi's resources, specifically the spoils from the warehouse in the city before the ice disaster. Honglian demanded half of all Zhang Yi's resources as compensation, in exchange for which her students would be returned. However, Zhang Yi rejected this demand outright, considering it impossible to accept. In response to the rejection, Honglian stated that the only option left was war. She also reminded Zhang Yi that he had killed someone from the Kaio base and questioned whether he was capable of facing the simultaneous attack of two major bases. This threat did not shake Zhang Yi, who confidently asserted that Honglian clearly did not understand the extent of his power. If war was her choice, then he would destroy anyone who dared challenge him. Zhang Yi's loyal followers witnessed their leader's unwavering determination. Zhang Yi emphasized that the students were his, and Honglian only needed to surrender them. However, Honglian stubbornly stated that the more Zhang Yi forced her, the less likely she was to release the students. She even threatened to make them suffer and beg for mercy. This threat worried Lian, but Zhang Yi inwardly hoped the threat would soon be carried out, as it was difficult for him to maintain his calm demeanor. When the call ended, Zhang Yi pretended to be frustrated with the negotiation results. He declared to everyone that there was no more room for passivity, and they had to act immediately. Zhang Yi ordered his strongest soldiers to prepare, emphasizing that this situation was different from the incident with the Baisian base. Their current location was not advantageous if attacked, and risking everyone's safety was not a wise choice. However, Zhang Yi's desire to face Honglian alone was so strong that his followers tried to calm him down. Even Chun warned that if Zhang Yi continued to force his attitude, it would cause problems. Zhang Yi finally controlled his emotions, although still visibly annoyed. Everyone knew that he only wanted to save the students, especially for Lian's sake. Realizing Zhang Yi's efforts, Lian tried to calm him down and promised not to involve anyone else in his personal affairs. He decided to handle the problem alone. On the other side, Zhao Qi'er felt worried that Lian would indeed act alone. Zhang Yi failed to convince Lian. Chunlei realized that Zhang Yi's acting was excellent but felt overly dramatic. Everyone knew that such brave words didn't suit Zhang Yi's true nature, which preferred not to fight if the chances of winning were slim. Nevertheless, at least Zhang Yi tried to show his support for Lian. Uncle Zhang Yi felt that the situation wasn't his fault, among them. Zhang Yi's team understood their leader's true intentions, despite his seemingly selfish actions. They remained united because each member had unique skills and relied on one another for survival. Karen was deeply worried, knowing Lian wouldn't agree with this. Zhang Yi ordered the two women to try and convince Lian not to take rash actions. Lian was in his room, holding his sword, ready for the final battle. Xin Xin and Ken went to his room to persuade him. Xin Xin questioned Lian's decision to go to the battlefield, leaving them alone and unprotected. They were also his students and needed his protection, especially since they lacked inner strength. Lian was torn between saving the selfish people and couldn't hold back his tears. Xin begged Lien not to rush into decisions, as there was still a chance to negotiate with the Yanqing base. With a soft heart, Lien eventually agreed to wait longer. After leaving the room, Ken asked Xin what made Lien so dear to Zhang Yi or herself. Xin replied that she was only deceiving Lien. People like Lien didn't know how to manage their emotions and often became confused. Determined to make Lien stay, Xin believed that having Lien around would benefit them. Zhang Yi wasn't someone who cared for lazy people, so they had to strive to help Zhang Yi's success. Xin and Karen successfully convinced Lien to stay and immediately informed Zhang Yi. He felt pleased upon hearing the news, as the effects of the medicine he had administered should soon take effect on the students. Meanwhile, at the Yanqing base, Xiao Lien learned from one of Lien's students that Zhang Yi had several powerful followers. Hong Lien realized that if she could recruit them, Yanqing's strength would increase significantly. Her assistant agreed that, given the current situation, it was only a matter of time before they succeeded in infiltrating Zhang Yi's ranks. They had to eliminate Zhang Yi's influence over his followers. Hong Lien planned to seize Zhang Yi's power and resources without needing to engage in battle. Aware that they were taking a risk, as other bases were always on alert, her assistant argued that attacking Zhang Yi's fortress was a worthwhile move. Hong Lien, however, felt it was better to do nothing than to make a mistake. She ordered a video recording as a threat to Zhang Yi. A strange occurrence took place when the followers began vomiting and feeling dizzy simultaneously. Her assistant contacted the female leader to report the situation and ask if there was any possibility of saving them. Hong Lien soon realized that this was a symptom of poisoning, but she was perplexed about how they could have been poisoned in this location. Unfortunately, the doctor informed her that they had been poisoned with low doses over a long period, and there was no hope for survival. The assistant was shocked and began to realize what was truly happening. He suspected that the poisoner was Zhang Yi himself, and they had been trapped by Zhang Yi's tactics. Hong Lien was bewildered, thinking that Zhang Yi indeed wanted to eliminate the students without dirtying his own hands. Xiao Hong Lien ordered a video recording of the still-living students as leverage. Although they had been poisoned, if the poisoning wasn't Zhang Yi's fault, the video could still be used as a bargaining tool. Some time later, Xin received contact from the Yanqing base. Hong Lien's assistant wanted to know if Zhang Yi was willing to exchange the students for food, 1 ton of food for each student. Zhang Yi watched the video of the students' torment, but he wasn't convinced that they were still alive. If they could show the students in a living state, he might agree. However, Zhang Yi felt no need to prove anything. He firmly stated that if he couldn't see them, he wouldn't exchange a single grain of rice for their cold corpses. In truth, Zhang Yi didn't want to see them at all, so he decided to hang up the phone. On the other side, Zhang Yi was certain that all the students were dead. Xin was curious about how her brother could do such a thing, and Zhang Yi explained that his secret was the new medicine he had obtained and put in their food. Xin was asked not to tell anyone about this and to focus on boosting Lien's morale when he found out that everyone had been poisoned. Xin felt relieved because she no longer had to meet them at the Yanqing base. Hong Lien's assistant reported that everyone had died, and Zhang Yi rejected their offer. The only option left was war. 2 days later, Zhang Yi received a video from the Yanqing base, showing the aftermath of their actions. In the video, the consequences were clear. Xiao Hong Lien emphasized that this was a fitting retaliation, marking. In Zhang Yi's eyes, those people held no value, and that didn't hinder him at all. However, Xin was still a young girl. Although she appeared mature, her heart hadn't been corrupted like Zhang Yi's. Zhang Yi reassured Xin that she didn't need to worry. He wouldn't let her die because he himself wouldn't die. The young girl had a very strong mind, and despite her body being tied to a chair, she became even more determined not to be a burden to her brother. She vowed to become extremely useful to Zhang Yi. After comforting the girl, Zhang Yi told them that they needed to prepare Lien for the bad news. Xin had to mentally prepare Lien and give him medicine to calm his mind. Then, Zhang Yi gathered everyone to show them the response from the Yanqing base. Lien felt anxious, hoping this might be a new offer to save his students. Whatever it was, he would try to take them back. However, when they turned on the TV, Lien was shocked by what he saw. The scene broke his heart. Zhao Qier and Yangam were more surprised by Lien's reaction than by Zhang Yi's. Lien fainted, and Zhang Yi explained that he had given him a sedative. He had anticipated this, so now Lien just needed to rest. Although there was no direct connection with those people, everyone felt sad, knowing Lien was a very dedicated teacher. This situation was a huge blow to him. Zhang Yi helped carry the woman to her room. The 2 girls were asked to take care of Lien and help calm the negative feelings in his heart. Zhang Yi asked Zhao Qier to give Lien sedatives to keep him in bed for a few days. Everyone had to realize that the battle with the Yanqing base was unavoidable. Maybe the Koyu base would also join in. Facing attacks from two major bases wouldn't be easy, they had to be ready to act according to their training. In the midst of tension between the military bases, the Snow sect finally took a step. A woman far away used her mysterious powers. This woman was able to see a person's energy from afar, and what she saw shook her thoughts. The energy of someone there was the strongest she had ever seen in her life. There shouldn't be anyone like that in the entire city. This old woman had the ability to see a person's energy and awaken their dormant mutant powers. She had to return immediately to warn the female priest about what she had discovered. This man was far stronger than anyone could imagine. At the Yenqing base's headquarters, someone introduced himself and claimed to know Zhang Yi, having worked for him in the past. At that time, Zhang Yi had ordered the construction of a fortress for his company, and this person was involved in the construction process, knowing how it was made. This person was Zhang Yi's first employee. Although not close to Zhang Yi, his knowledge was invaluable. Now, as a servant of Mar Zancheng, he was willing to help attack Zhang Yi's headquarters. Hong Lian then gave the leadership position to this man. They believed Zhang Yi's headquarters was an armed apartment complex he had once used.